Hey there, welcome to Live by Design, a place where I hope you will find content that is informative, inspiring, and insightful. I'm your host, Mwadi Jabinga, and I'm happy to be here with you today. I hope you're having a great day so far. I'm having one of those days where I just feel like everything is flowing really nicely. Got up on time early, about 3:30, journaled, listened to a little Wayne Dyer on YouTube, cleaned up, went to take Bikram yoga, ran on the treadmill, and now here I am with you. So I'm having a good day so far. Let's see. Hopefully the rest of it will turn out, just as nicely, just as good. Before I get into my topic, I have an announcement, three announcements actually. There are three events that I'm doing between now and the end of the year that I would love to see you participate in so that we can be together in real space, like face-to-face in real time. On May 25th, it's a Saturday, 11:30 a.m. to 1 p.m., I'm hosting an online workshop called No More Drama, and it's a workshop to help you increase the joy and reduce the drama in your relationships. And you know by now that I'm not just talking about romantic relationships, I'm talking about all types of relationships. And so be on the lookout for that information. It's up on my social media pages, will be up on the website by the end of this week. And so I'm really excited about that. Also in September, I am co-hosting a retreat with my partner in crime, Shape Up with Shaumba Yanja Dabinga. She is also my sister. And we are doing a retreat in May for 12 women, in Maine, in Maine. For 12 women in September, and we're really excited about that. It's going to be 2.5 days. She's a certified hot Pilates instructor, so we're going to be doing fitness and health and wellness and my life coaching work. So that's going to be very exciting. And in October, we are producing the second annual CEOU Professional Development Training for Entrepreneurs in partnership with Bikram Yoga Works and David George Company. I'm really excited about that. Last year's event was just off the chain. It was really a great experience for us as presenters, but most importantly, for the people who attended. This year, we're working towards doing a day and a half, 2 days. Dr. Omekungo Dabinga, also my sibling, but a genius, has already signed on to come back and do his presentation and do a workshop. So details of all of these events will be on my website. We're already starting to post them on social media, so just keep an eye out, and hopefully you will be able to join me. I'd love to see you and meet you in person. All right, having said that, let's get into my topic for today. Now, just as a qualifying statement to give this some context, I stay away from discussing social justice, political, and pop culture issues in this space, because I just feel that, number one, there's so many other voices out there talking about those issues, and I think who do a better job than I would in those spaces. And secondly, that's not what this space is for. I really try to give you content here that applies to you, applies to me, our day-to-day life, and gives us information, resources, and tools that we can use to better our own lives and not get so caught up in celebrities and all of their stuff and what's going on. There's a time for that, but this is not the time. And there's a place for that, but this is not the place. So before I go into what I'm going to say now, just know that generally I stay away from those topics. Now today, I am going to share some thoughts about the whole controversy with Oprah Winfrey and this documentary that has been recently released about Michael Jackson and two men who allege that he sexually assaulted and abused them as children. He was acquitted for the crimes, and he was acquitted on those charges. He was found not guilty in a court of law. And I do have concerns, questions, and thoughts about the timing of the documentary, the content, and the witnesses, but that's not what I'm going to share here. I want to talk about people's reaction to Oprah's decision to give these men a platform in a private interview and to bring this issue back to the support this issue in coming back up to the forefront of our consciousness within the society. She has been getting a lot of criticism. People have said it's a betrayal of the family that she befriended. It's a betrayal of Michael Jackson, who she befriended. Some people have called for a boycott of all things Oprah. I've seen the comments on social media. People are saying, "I hope you lose your empire. I hope you lose everything," and it's getting kind of vicious. And Personally, I was surprised. I am surprised that she would have, that she would take the time and the resources and the energy to interview these men, given her relationship with the family and given her relationship to Michael Jackson. And I'm a little disappointed, and I really haven't really processed in my mind fully where it all comes from, but I'm not pleased. At the same time, I'm not ready to throw out Oprah's 30 plus years, her incredible body of healing and consciousness raising work for over one interview, right? I've been watching her since I was in Chicago. She started with AM Chicago. I watched the Oprah show throughout the years. On that show, through that show, I met so many, I learned about, I should say, so many spiritual teachers and teachings and speakers and, idealists and theologists who have transformed my life. Michael Bernard Beckwith, Wayne Dyer, Marianne Williamson, Robert Holden, Iyanla Vanzant. I mean, my friend Rita actually introduced me to the concept of Iyanla, but I didn't really grab onto her until I saw her on Oprah. And Eckhart Tolle, and as I recall, in 2008, I spent 10 weeks on a webinar, online seminar, where they were breaking down Oprah completely free, 10 weeks of a new earth, chapter by chapter, breaking it down bit by bit, piece by piece. And that book changed my life. And there's so many things that I'm able to do today. There's so much joy and love and, so much stuff, richness to my life that I would have missed out on had I not had this transformation. And a lot of the teachers and the resources and the books and the ideas I discovered through that show. And so, again, I am disappointed. I am surprised, but I am not willing to throw out all that she has done because of this one decision. And why is that important to me? Why is that important to us? Is because we have a tendency, at least I know I used to be this way, not so much so hopefully anymore, whereby somebody could make a mistake or we could interpret something that they're doing in a way that hurts our feelings or makes us feel bad, or we're disappointed in them, we're angry with them, and then we just cut them off and write them off, totally ignoring everything that they've ever done. We let one instance, one betrayal, one big challenge or obstacle, we just turn our back on people. Now, don't get it twisted. I do believe that we should have boundaries and non-negotiables in our lives, and when they're clearly articulated, and you're in a relationship with somebody, whether it's romantic, professional, whatever, when you clearly articulate your boundaries and your non-negotiables and people cross that line, I am totally for. I don't get mad at anybody who wants to cut people loose. You might want to give them a second chance. We can always forgive, but again, as we said before, forgiveness doesn't mean that we let them stay in our space, right? So I want to be clear. I'm not saying that we should turn a blind eye anytime somebody does us wrong. I'm not saying that at all. When we're clear about our boundaries and people have really crossed those boundaries and betrayed us and committed deep betrayals, absolutely, I'm all about kicking people to the curb. I have no problem with that. In this case, though, it highlights how we sometimes kick people to the curb, I think, prematurely and unfairly. And I think that somebody will make a mistake, hurt our feelings accidentally, not meaning to hurt our feelings. It was not their intention. Or they take a shift in their own thinking, in their own way of living, and we take it personally and we want to get mad. I've seen people who will, they've come together as couples, and then all of a sudden they either both came in as, Christians or Muslims or Jews or some shared religious faith, and then one, decides he or she wants to be an atheist and they go in the other direction, or they come together as atheists or agnostics, and then all of a sudden somebody, has a spiritual awakening and they decide that they want to go in some other direction, and people take that personally. They get mad. I understand being disappointed, right? But to get mad that somebody's consciousness has shifted, their ideology has changed, their perspective has changed, I don't think that's fair. And if the act that they do, the actions that they take as a result of that transformation and change are not harmful and not a real betrayal to you, I can see being disappointed. I can see even maybe being mad or surprised. But to cut them loose altogether and be like, nah, I'm out, does not make sense to me. I feel like, we have a tendency to have this all or nothing attitude about people, that we put them in these boxes and they have to be, all in or all out, all one way or it's no way. When I was coming up, I used to play classical violin. I wasn't good at it. but I played it. But I wouldn't tell anybody because back in the day, my identity was as a black nationalist, revolutionary, wore my red, black, and green down. I still have my consciousness. I'm still about my people, but I've expanded my thinking to understand that I can be conscious, I can care about my people, and still like to play the violin. I can be conscious, I can love my people, and still like classical ballet, right? But I used to hide those things because I didn't feel that they were aligned with this image that I had of myself. And then when I started to become more comfortable with myself, people actually started to be surprised. You like this, you like that, you like you too, you like, because it wasn't consistent with who they thought I was. And there are things that I like now that I didn't like back in the day. Was not raised to be a vegetarian or to be a vegan or to do yoga and to do a lot of the different things that I do right now. Those are things that I learned, I grew into, I picked up along the way in my growth. Oprah, for whatever her reasons are, and they are her reasons, has decided that, okay, she might have had a relationship with the Jackson family and with Michael, and she was a big fan of Jermaine. I remember her going on a date with Jermaine, and she's going to get a lot of backlash, I'm sure, from the family. Maybe not, but I'm kind of sure she will. At the same time, for whatever reasons, she's standing up in what she believes to be true. And she's standing in her truth. And she's standing convicted, knowing in her heart and mind that she is doing the right thing for a bigger cause. So I can't now be mad and disrespect her and throw everything out that she's done because she decided to take a stand that's not popular. And she decided to take a stand that she knows for a fact people are gonna come for her behind, right? And we have a tendency to do that. I think oftentimes, for the wrong reasons. Where I admire her in this particular situation is the fact that it's in her ability to stand up for what she believes to be true, regardless as to what other people are going to say, regardless as to what people think. She knows, I'm sure she knows. I mean, I don't know her personally, but I'm sure she knows there are some folks who are going to not watch OWN anymore, and they're going to throw her books, maybe burn her stuff, and, go on these talk shows and all manner of places in social media and just, come for her and dog her out of her mind, right? But despite knowing that, she's still standing in her truth, what she believes to be true. Am I disappointed? Absolutely. Doesn't make any sense to me. And quite frankly, I have other things that I'm concerned about right now than to get all caught up in what they're saying about Michael Jackson. Why? Michael Jackson has left the building, y'all. Michael Jackson has left his body. He left his body behind and has gone on to other things. And where Michael is right now, he's not caring about record sales. He's not caring about his reputation. He's not caring about Neverland. He's not caring about any of the material things that he left behind because he has gone to another plane. This is for the people that are left behind. So I don't even know how I got off on that track. But my point is that Michael's not worried about it. I'm not worried about it. I'm worried about other things. So, to that extent, I'm not really involved in the backlash and the controversy. But these two pieces of this puzzle, these two pieces of this controversy, I find very fascinating and interesting. Number one, what are the parameters? What is the agreement that we have with celebrities and public figures? What is your agreement with them? What's your relationship with them? Whereby if they make one decision that is that you find objectionable or disappointing, maybe even disgraceful, I don't know how you want to frame it, that now everything that they say is no good. Because if we did that, we could go down the list of people in history. I'm not going to do that now, who have done some really egregious things, yet have also made a huge impact on our lives, in our society, in our culture, in our country, around the globe, right? And so, we have to have discernment, and we have to have, I think, a level of reasonableness when we think about how we now treat people, particularly public figures, when they make decisions that are not popular. She, to me, from my estimation, for what I know, is not physically harming anybody. She is not financially exploiting anybody. Out of her mouth, her intention is to raise awareness about an issue which is dear to her heart, which is important to her. Do we have to agree with it? No, I don't agree. I personally don't get it. And again, I don't have time to figure that out because I'm over here doing stuff. Michael doesn't really care right now because Michael has left the building. He's somewhere else. So again, this is for other people, for his family, his close associates. But I don't have a dog in that fight. Real talk. I don't have a dog in that fight. So I'm not going to be too concerned. I'm surprised And I kind of wish that we could have just left it alone, but that's her decision to make. So do I now say, oh my goodness, I'm not, no Oprah magazine? No. She made a decision that I don't agree with, that does not make any sense to me, but it doesn't violate any of my non-negotiables. And quite frankly, it doesn't change my opinion about her, because she's always been somebody who stands in her truth, whether it's popular or not. And that's the second point of this conversation, right? What are you willing to stand up for? What are you willing to do, knowing good and well that folks are going to talk about you? People have been talking about her entire career. From her physical appearance, she doesn't like black people, she doesn't do anything for the community, from how she spends her money, from what clothes she wears. I mean, people have been talking about her whole entire life. And real talk, Michael Jackson, particularly in the black community, is like a saint. You're not coming for Michael. Now, there's some other celebrities who've fallen from grace. We just sort of let them fall. But Michael, people gonna roll. They're gonna ride for Michael, right? So she knew from jump that talking out against him or doing anything in any way that would be perceived as tarnishing his career or his name was going to be a risk for her, and that she was going to get a public lashing from the fans, from the people who love him and are devoted to him. But she did it anyway. And so even though I don't agree with what I view as, well, I'm not going to get into what I think of it. I don't agree. I'm disappointed and I'm surprised. And at the same time, I'm still proud of her for bucking public opinion and doing what she believes is the right thing to do. What about you? What are you going to stand for? What do you stand for? What principles do you have? Again, I don't agree with it. I kind of wish we could have just let this whole thing, go. But that's just me. I don't have a dog in this fight. But at the same time, I have to admire the fact that despite the fact she knows it's not popular, she's standing in what she believes to be her truth, and she's going forward. And because of that, I'm still riding with Oprah. I'm going to still ride with her. The spiritual teachings, the things that she talks about, the people that she has on her programs that talk about raising consciousness, doing the right thing, having standards, having principles, having core values. From my perspective, in my opinion, she's doing exactly that. She's standing up for something even though it's not popular. She's doing something even though she knows she's gonna lose supporters, and her name is gonna be smeared, and her ratings in terms of popularity are gonna probably go down the tubes. But she's doing it anyway on a big international stage, right? Will you stand up for yourself? What principles do you have? What do you stand for? What do you believe in? Because it's through the standing up and showing up and being true and being consistent to your values, your core values. That's what builds your spiritual muscle. And that's what gives you the fuel that you need to drive you forward in times when you're feeling challenged, and when people are trying to come for you, and when people don't support what you're doing, your convictions, your courage, your intention, your why. Oprah is clear about her why. You don't have to agree with it. I don't have to agree with it. But it's a powerful example of when you're clear about your intention and you are rooted in your cores, your principles, your why, you will stand up and stand by yourself if necessary to see them through. That commitment to core values, that commitment to intention, that commitment to doing the right thing is something that I can learn from, that we all can learn from. Again, 2 points to this conversation today. First and foremost, I want us to bring awareness to how singular we are, how black and white we tend to be, particularly with celebrities, when people don't do what we expect them to do. Again, not talking about the real major betrayals, abuse, cheating, stealing, that type of thing, but just a different perspective, a different point of view, divergence from maybe I thought this on Monday, but now I'm thinking this. This is my new way of thinking. This is my new way of being. It may not be consistent with what I did in the past, but I'm grown now. I have more maturity now. I have more discernment now. I have more experiences now. I have new insights now that maybe have caused the shift. And maybe you're not comfortable with the shift, but I owe it to myself to go where my gut tells me to go where my intuition, the God calling within me calls me to go. And so when people do that with dignity, with grace, I believe that we're not should, but we can be disappointed. We can be upset. But I question whether it's fair for us to just now kick them to the curb where they're standing on principle, right? And then the second piece of this whole example is showing us, reminding us about sometimes it's dangerous to stand alone on your principles and your values. And sometimes you risk losing fans, friends, family, ratings, stock options. But I believe it is those among us who will stand up for something with conviction, with determination, power, grace. We are the ones who are going to shift the consciousness of this planet. You may not agree with what Oprah is doing right now in this moment. Like I said a million times, I guess by now, I don't. But I admire her conviction. I admire her willingness to stand up and be unpopular. And this is somebody who, by her own admission, used to be a really big people pleaser. When she was in college, buying people pizzas and pencils and papers and stuff when she was on TV at 19, just so that they would like her. So for her to be on this national, international stage and make a decision to support something that is resulting in people dragging her name through the mud, and she knew it was going to happen and she did it anyway, I have to admire that. And it inspires me. And it begs the question for me, what are you standing for? What are you really standing for? It's an opportunity to turn the mirror around and ask myself, what in my own life, what principles, what values, what beliefs do I have that I would be willing to stand up for and stand alone? Because sometimes you have to stand alone to make a point. Sometimes you have to stand alone to live out your principles. Being alone is not a bad thing, but sometimes we get so addicted to being popular, to being liked, for people to want to be around us, that we give up our values. We give up our core values. We give up our beliefs. We dumb ourselves down and make ourselves small, and we shrink ourselves to fit their small expectations so we can still roll with them. And I just find it interesting that the people who stand up, yeah, we take a beating in the short term, but in the long term, they always seem to prosper. The ones that stand for in their convictions of truth, their core values from a place of principles. I'm not talking about some of the debauchery we're seeing. I'm not talking about being convicted to what I would call low energy behavior. But people who say, this is my principle, this is what I believe, I'm going to stand up for it, whether you like it or not, whether you roll with me or not. That's something I think we can learn from. And that's something I think that we can bring more into our lives. We have gotten to a place where we all look alike, people dress alike, everybody's got the same shoes, everybody got the same Nike backpack, everybody's so willing to walk lockstep with mediocrity and just roll with the punches, and nobody wants to stand out. We want success, but we want to be normal. What Oprah's doing right now is taking a risk. She's taking a risk, further separating herself from the pack of people who don't take risks, right? And so when we ask ourselves, what can we do to be more successful? People, I want to be like Oprah. You want to be like Oprah until it's too hard to be like Oprah, right? Oprah's going to be fine. Like I said, Michael's fine. And I'm fine. I'm good. And I'm learning from this whole thing, the way it's playing out. And so I want to encourage you to watch how it plays out. Not from the space of should they have the documentary, should they not, should she have interviewed him, should she not. There's going to be a whole bunch of people having that debate. But for me, the most interesting thing is to see what it looks like when someone makes a decision based on their principles, based on their convictions, that's not popular, that they know is going to result in backlash, and they do it anyway. There's a truth that she's trying to promote and push. We may not agree with it, but it takes courage to stand up and risk losing all that she worked for. And I'm not talking about the money. I'm talking about the popularity. She's Mama O, everybody's favorite auntie, right? But now there's a contingent of people. There are groups of people who are really calling for, they want her to fail. They want her to lose everything. And she stood up anyway. What are you standing up for? What am I standing up for? We can walk through this life with our head down, hoping nobody notices us, right? And just try to make it to the end. Or we can stand up with our back up straight, be clear about our principles, be clear about our values, and create a life. Surround ourselves with other people who are equally convicted. They may not agree with everything that we do, but they understand and support our desire, our need to stand true. There's a courage that's being demonstrated now that I think is getting lost in all of this other fluff conversation. Right? And not fluff conversation, because I don't want to underestimate or undervalue other people's feelings about this. So it's just not fluff per se. I guess that's a bad choice of words. What I would say though is that there's some principles and there's some lessons to be learned in this whole quagmire of stuff that's happening that's getting lost. And in this space with you, with me here, I want to encourage you. Let's look at the lessons that are being taught or being offered as we watch Madam Oprah walk through this part of her journey. Again, I don't agree with it. I don't get it. But I'm fascinated and actually inspired by the fact that she has made the decision to stand up, whether we like it or not. She's speaking her truth, right? A recovering people pleaser is on an international stage speaking her truth, knowing she's not popular. What are you willing to stand up for? Will you stand up for yourself? Stand up for your principles. Stand up for your goals. I think it makes life richer, makes life more exciting when we make a decision not to walk lockstep with mediocrity and worry about being popular and stand up for what we believe to be true. There's strength in that. There's power in that. And when we can tap into that strength, and we can tap into that power, there's really no limits to what we can do. That's my message for today. I hope it made sense to you. I'm interested in hearing your thoughts, not about should you do it, should you not do it, but just this notion. What do you think about my thoughts, my comments about her standing up for what's not popular, risking losing her social credibility and her social currency behind the principle, behind the belief? And also, what do you think about this idea of throwing out the baby with the bathwater? Somebody makes a mistake, not a betrayal, not a deep betrayal, but they do something that's not consistent with what we think that they should be doing, and we just cut them loose. What do you think? Let me know. Hit me up on Facebook, Live by Design with Marty. You can send your comments down below, right here, Instagram, Twitter. Let me know. All right. That's my message for today. I hope, it made sense to you. I hope there was something in there that is giving you food for thought. Because again, this is a space where I try to provide content that's informative, inspiring, and insightful. So this is me, Marty, signing off until next time. Take care of yourself and the ones that you love. Peace.